Welcome to another episode of Lonsec TV. I'm Gordon Toy, Communications Coordinator at Lonsec, and with me to talk all things ETF is Michael Elsworth, General Manager of Specialised Research here at Lonsec. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Gordon. Good to be here.
Michael, we've obviously seen a lot of growth in the popularity of ETFs as well as funds under management. What have been some of the big developments we've seen in the ETF space so far?
Well, it's been a very active year, the last 12 months in ETF land. Arguably the biggest development is the issuance of an exchange quoted managed fund, or an EQMF, which Magellan launched an ETF version of their very successful Magellan Global Fund. It proved very popular in attracting approximately $480 million over the last 12 months. And we think it's a trend that will continue. We think other managers will go down this path. It's proven to be very successful, particularly for self-managed super funds, who on the whole, don't like a lot of administration, and it's as simple as transacting a share on the ASX, just like buying a BHP share or an ANZ share.
Looking at the ETF sector at the moment, there's about $21 billion in funds under management. How developed is the ETF sector in Australia at the moment?
Yeah, the growth in the ETF market has been very strong. It's doubled in the last 2 years to approximately $21 billion. We expect that growth to continue. There's approximately 120 exchange-traded funds on the ASX at the moment, covering all major asset classes. So we've got Aussie equities, global equities, fixed income. Yeah, so the growth has been very strong.
Who are the main ETF players, and what are some of the key innovations we're seeing in the ETF space?
The major players are the big global behemoths. So there's BlackRock iShares would be the issuer of the largest number of ETFs in Australia. There's also Vanguard, State Street. There's also some smaller players like Market Vectors and Beta Shares of late. So there's a number of different players.
Lonsec's April ETF journal is out now, and obviously we'd encourage everyone to go online and check it out. Volatility was one of the key themes, as you might expect, in the ETF journal. How have ETF managers been dealing with volatility at the moment?
Yeah, doubtless there would have been a few sleepless nights over the last 6 months or so following the volatility in the Chinese stock market, and it's flowed on into global markets. But there are some alternatives in the ETF market in Australia. Beta Shares is a good example of an issuer that has a couple of funds. The Beta Shares managed risk Aussie share fund, and also the Beta Shares managed risk global share fund. They are two different funds which provide an alternative for investors with this volatility. They aim to smooth out the volatility. Or smooth out the peaks and troughs, really. So if the equity markets sell off very heavily, investors would not participate in that full sell-off, and conversely, in a raging bull market, investors could expect to underperform slightly.
And finally, what does Lonsec look for in an effective ETF manager?
We look for a well-resourced, stable team with excellent systems. We also look for managers that charge a reasonable level of fees, and also evidence of managers meeting their objectives. They're the main things we look for.
Well, Michael, thank you very much for joining us today to talk about all things ETF.
You're welcome.
And thank you for tuning into Lonsec TV. Make sure you check out the April ETF journal, and for more information on Lonsec and better investment outcomes, visit lonsec.com.au.